So does it come up that there's something in a book that you don't agree with, that you maybe even wish the author wouldn't say, but it's what the author wants to say and what the reader
Oh my
would
God,
want?
yes, it happens all the time. I remember there was a book I did called Shakespeare and Macbeth by Stuart Ross, and he's a wonderful writer, and he's British. And the book was about Shakespeare at the time he was writing Macbeth. And the idea was to help kids who were studying Macbeth in school understand it better. And since Stuart was British, there were things that the American audience needed, and he was very good about putting them in, except for one thing. And of course, that one thing was what the Times critic picked up on. And I remember the copy editor had seen it, said, "We told him," So yeah, sure, it happens all the time. And sometimes I'm not sure what I think, and I ask my colleagues. I'll bring things to an editorial meeting, or when Holiday House was still in person, and I could still do this on a Zoom call easily, but I would stick my head over where the assistants are, where there are 4 assistants who work there, or actually there's an associate editor and 3 assistants, and I'd say, "You guys, how does this sound to your ear?" And I'll read a sentence, or "What do you think of this word?" Because sometimes you need some perspective. So.
Gotcha. So you get a little bit of almost a hive mind going. I'm assuming you're doing the same for them.
Sure. And, let's not forget, editing and writing are art forms. It's not a science where there's only one right answer.
Does that ever frustrate you? Frustrates me.
It doesn't frustrate me, but I had an experience with a book that I did not edit, where I really had a realization about this. There's a book I love called Silent to the Bone by E.L. Konigsberg. And of course, she's most famous from the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Baisley, Frank Weller, and A View from Saturday. So she's won the Newbery twice. A View from Saturday kind of gets on my nerves. Personally, I find it a little coy, the tone is a little knowing, a little like that they're all better than we know. I don't know, a little bit like she's winking at. There's something that gets on my nerves about that book. But Silent to the Bone, which didn't win anything, I think is incredible. I love that book. And I mentioned it to Wendy Lamb, who's an editor who I have so much respect for, and she's one of the greatest editors that, in my professional lifespan. And Wendy was like, "Oh, I would have asked her to do some different things with that book. I had a problem with the brother, and why didn't she bring it?" And I was like, wow, editing is really subjective, because I think the book's a masterpiece. You know what I mean? Like, it really is just one person's opinion. So there you go.
For good and for ill, yes.
That's right.